Hello, I'm Anna Delaney with ISMG. I'm very pleased to be joined by John Pirc, VP and Head of Product Management with NetWitness. Great to see you, John.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
So we're talking about the future of threat detection, but before getting there, what is the current state of threat detection and why is there such an urgency to evolve?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have to constantly innovate, get outside your comfort zone, per se, right? But I mean, innovation is great, but if innovation is too complex, then it kind of defeats the purpose from that perspective. And when you start looking at innovation, it's just not security vendors that are doing that, it's the adversaries, right? And what's everybody talking about? AI. We're using it, they're using it, and they're using it at quick speeds. And how do you compete against that, right? It's like building a better mousetrap or trying to outswim a shark or outswim this person that's slower than you. So when I look at that, I think AI is going to bring a lot to us, but again, that whole predictability, being able to stretch multiple analytics together, because when you start looking at everything, it's data analytics, and then how do you apply AI to that from that perspective? So that's kind of how I see it. It's really wanting to make things more efficient, not just from a threat detection perspective, but analyst workflows and responses.
Yeah. And we're seeing a shift from siloed tools to a more integrated detection ecosystem. What do you think is driving that change, and why does it matter?
That's a good question. I think it matters because you don't want to be context switching between different platforms. And when I say that is, if you have 3 screens in front of you, that could be, 3 different products. You need to have something that's more centralized. When I talked again about being efficient, you're not going to be that efficient. You're not going to be able to respond to attacks if you're constantly switching between different avenues. Now, there's a lot of technologies today, with SIM, that bring all that technology together. But again, having one single place with all that information, again, is more efficient, reduces dwell time. When I say dwell time, it's how long a threat actor is in your organization. How can you reduce that? And you reduce that by having the right information at the right time.
Yeah. Now you mentioned AI. Early adopters have just jumped into this AI-driven bandwagon, the AI-driven threat detection. What have we learned so far? What is actually working? What's not? Any lessons learned?
Yeah, so with AI and ML, you have to train a model, right? So if you train models with garbage data, that's exactly what you're going to get out there. And people, not people, but some think that you can just unsupervised and let it go from that perspective. Whereas, it's going to replace my job. And I hear that all the time when we talk to SOC analysts, and it's not. It's human-machine teaming, right? You're always going to have kind of a human in a loop with that. And when you start looking at AI, I think it's great, but it's training those models with the right data and not letting them go crazy on their own and making their own decisions. So.
I want to ask you about resources, because times are tough. So many SOCs are asked to do more with less. What's your advice for them to be more efficient? What are the go-to strategies for more efficiency in that kind of environment?
It's a great question. I just got done talking to a customer who has 3 individuals in their SOC, which is small, considering the large size of their organization. It's getting back to using AI in a smart way from a workflow perspective. So how can I augment tier 1, tier 2 analyst information that's coming in, like a co-pilot? Having all that information bubbled up to where now that analyst can really focus on or triage, what they need. So if you're able to improve the speed of those workflows, it makes it, again, more efficient for those analysts to run faster. But on another note on that, it's not just your current analysts, but when you have, men and women coming out of university, they get their first job. Being a SOC analyst is by no means trivial at all. Using that in a way to train them, get them to run faster, to understand, I think is going to be great. It's going to be game changing.
Yeah. Now, threat hunters seem to be leaning more on behavior analytics and timeline-based correlation. How are these tools helping spot those blind spots?
Yeah, so when you talk about like retro threat hunts, so that's, let's say you have 12 months of data, right? And at a time slice, that data was okay, or maybe suspicious, right? But as you fast forward with new intelligence and saying, okay, well, this back here was bad. So being able to go back, do these retro hunts, kind of piece things together, I think are really important. And when you look at whether it's behavioral or what we want to call it, it's more from an analytical perspective. So having these analytics, having AI, having these tied from a threat hunting perspective, I think is good. And when you start looking at innovations on that side, is threat hunting, is not a science, it's an art. Like how I would approach it would be different, how you would approach it to be different. But being able to leverage AI to come up with a thesis, where do I start, right? Because there's so much data, there's petabytes of data, and from that perspective, again, we talked about efficiency, having the right information at the right time, and being able to go down a path, because sometimes when you're doing threat hunting, you can go down a path for a day and you get nowhere, and then you have to start all over again. Well, where do I start? Again, as I said before, you start different place than I would. So I think that's kind of the evolution of the SOC, the evolution of the threat hunter. And I still believe like a threat hunter, is not a entry-level job. I mean, you definitely want to promote the ranks to do that, but you have to learn. But again, the power of AI will, make that happen a lot faster.
Yeah. Now, one of the challenges we hear about is turning AI outputs into actionable, clear insights for incident response. What's your take on that gap?
I mean, I think the gap on that's is being closed. We have an IR team. I work with the men and women on our IR team, and they're absolutely closing that gap by using different types of technology, different type of analytics from that perspective. So when you start looking at the gap, I mean, the gap is really based on the information you have. Do you have a clear picture, right? And when you look at a lot of detection technologies, they're looking at north-south traffic. And what I mean by that, for those that don't understand that, is traffic that's coming from the internet into the organization. Now, where things get tricky, where a lot of your, I would say, critical assets, critical infrastructure are going east-west, right? So how do you see into that? You have endpoint detection and response that can feed up. We talked about a central platform where you can do all that. So I really think that gap, based on the technology, our instrumentation that the customer has, it does provide that clear picture to an IR team from that perspective. And there's really no difference in my perspective. Like you have a threat hunter that's like looking at something, but incident response teams are taking everything into play. But again, we started off before like garbage in, garbage out. It's making sure that you have the right telemetry, the right information, and the right time slices that you need to be looking at. Final question. How are you at NetWitness helping customers tackling all these threats, these challenges that we've been talking about? I'm glad you asked. So our platform is one single platform where we're able to feed in NDR, so network detection and response, which is packet data. Our SIM, which we pull in log data. We have UBA, so analytics. I talked about how analytics are really, really important. Obviously going down the AI route as well. We have SOAR, so security, orchestration, and automated response. What that means is we're seeing an attack happen. We need to take that host offline. So being able to be proactive from that perspective. And then our vision on where we want to go with having an autonomous SOC, driving toward that, I think is really important. And then we just recently had a partnership with a company called Before AI, and that's all this predictive. In the future, we're going to see X, Y, and Z. So I'm super excited to be part of NetWitness and growing out this team. And this has been lovely. Well, John, thank you so much for all your insights. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. All right, you too. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. For IS&G, I'm Anna Delaney.